Have you ever heard of the Japanese word osekkai? If you put osekkai into Google Translate, it comes out as nosy. In Japan, osekkai refers to a behavior that you yourself think is a good deed, but which in fact may be seen as unwanted, or annoying, or interfering from the perspective of the recipient. So, as you can gather, osekkai doesn't usually have a positive nuance. But, is osekkai really a bad thing? I have a grandmother who's almost 80. She's very famous for her osekkai behavior. She never goes a day without sending me a message. Often, I'm too lazy to reply, but that doesn't stop her from messaging me, day after day. If my grandma hears I'm coming down with a cold, she sends me advice about cures for the common cold. If she hears I've had a fight with my mother, she gives me tips on how to improve my mother's mood. If she hears I'm feeling down, she sends me some words to cheer me up. And if today is one of those days where a beautiful sunrise can be seen in the distance from her window, I'm sure to know about it because she will always send me a photo. She was so excited when she heard I was going to be giving a TED Talk. I told her, TED is really famous all around the world and I'm going to be on it. And she looked so proud. The next following week, I received a smiling photo of my grandma with the caption, "I bought a TED t-shirt." You can see she's very supportive. Sometimes it can be exhausting receiving these messages day after day. They can be a bit heavy at times, but there are also times where one will touch my heart, give me courage, or make me laugh. Oh, and by the way, my grandma's osekkai isn't just directed at me. If she finds someone around her who's struggling in some way, even a total stranger, she will bring them back to her house, talk through everything, and offer them advice, whether if it's wanted or not. My mom always gets mad at her for this habit. Mom says, perhaps she should give some thought to her own issues first before worrying about strangers. Apparently, even when my mom was small, there were always people in some kind of crisis coming to see my grandma to seek her advice. For people who struggle with issues, to come and knock on the door is one thing, but apparently my grandma would often see a stranger in trouble and just bring them back home. Back in those pre-smartphone days, I was told that my grandma once brought home a traveler from overseas who lost their way. The traveler couldn't speak Japanese and was lost, but she brought the person back to her place, served them a meal, and let them stay the night. And my grandma doesn't speak any English, by the way. So in the end, with no way to communicate, she never even found out where the traveler came from. My mother's theory is that the traveler's biggest problem of all was being taken to a stranger's house for no apparent reason. I suspect my mom is probably right, but I love my grandma anyway. My mother is osekkai too. For example, when we go to a family trip by car, and if my mom sees a hitchhiker, she will always pick them up. That's really no big deal within my family. One day though, I came home from school, and then there was this magician in our house. The magician was trying to travel all the way around Japan by bicycle and wanted to save money in Tokyo before heading north to Tohoku, but was struggling to afford Tokyo's hotel prices. Hearing this, my mom brought the magician back to our place. We ended up living together with this magician, remind you, a total stranger, for several weeks until he saved enough money. Those were fun times, but to this day, I think no one in my family really knew who he was. Mom is always telling grandma off about her osekkai. But I can't help thinking to myself that my mom is becoming the even bigger osekkai than her own mother. So, it seems that osekkai people are birds of a feather. One osekkai tends to be surrounded by others. At the beginning of this year, my mother caught the coronavirus. Fortunately, the rest of my family tested negative, but as we were all close contacts, we all needed to self-quarantine at home for 2 weeks. Unable to leave the house, even to shop, my whole family was living in a state of constant fear of the virus. When one morning, a large cardboard box was delivered. Inside was disinfectant spray, masks, gloves, and so on, as well as some lucky charm from a shrine nearby that are said to bring good luck. It was from a gift from an Osekkai neighbor. We received many more gifts, such as the mountain of bread, more than we could eat, which is from a bakery whose owners are like family to us. A fisherman in Iwate, whose harbor had been washed away in the tsunami, sent us delicious seafood. There were all Osekkai people who cared for us from the bottom of their hearts. People who had been on the receiving end of my mom and my grandma's Osekkai. My grandma believes that if everyone became Osekkai, it would change the world. And surrounding that Osekkai grandma of mine, today and every day, is a whole bunch of fellow Osekkai people. This is why grandma is always so happy and is enjoying life. There's a famous quote that Mother Teresa apparently once said, something along the lines of, "The opposite of love is indifference." I searched the opposite of what Osekkai was, and it was indifference. So, if the opposite of both love and Osekkai is indifference, does that mean Osekkai equates to love? I came to the conclusion that maybe that's what Osekkai is. Love. When I grow up, I want to be a giving person. I want to be a person who is not indifferent, but who actively cares for other people and for the issues society faces. There might be times when people find me annoying or interfering, but I can live with that. I want to be an Osekkai person too. If you love, you will be loved. If you care for others, you will be cared for. Other people are a mirror in which you can see yourself. These words from my Osekkai grandma captured my imagination and has inspired me. I want to spread the concept of Osekkai all around the world. Surely, Osekkai people all around the world would be enough to make a difference, to make some change in the world. They say, love can save the world. That is why, surely, sometimes being nosy is okay. Thank you for listening.